Our taste in film may seem destructive, but this is a productive dialogue. Damn it, your mother ate my dog. Our taste in film may seem destructive, but this is a productive dialogue. Damn it, your mother ate my dog.
There we go. That's episode 89 now.
89. Now it's 89. Yes.
Your Mother Ate My Dog, the podcast. I forgot to put an intro in last episode 88, the episode that we probably will forget about because I had forgotten about it while we were doing it. But I'm going to do two intros. You'll have heard two intros for this podcast.
I was actually going to suggest that very thing. So
yeah,
great minds.
Making up for it. So we're back doing it again.
Here again, whether you like it or not. I'm happy to be here. Happy to be here sitting down with you, Josh, as we have 88 other times. This is the 89th time, and I think this time we'll get it perfect. All the other times have been slightly flawed. This is the perfect time to do the podcast. There was an eclipse today. It's raining. It just kind of feels a little cozy. I had some tea. I'm feeling juiced up, ready to go.
Did you experience the eclipse?
No, I did not. Did you?
I think I was inside for when it was like supposed to happen. We would never have seen it, but maybe maybe it got a little bit darker where we were.
It was apparently like only partial for us or something.
But yeah, I think I was inside for it, so missed it.
I totally forgot about it. So there you go. But it did happen today, so there's that.
Apparently did happen. Okay, yeah, I guess it's probably the only update in the last few days.
You know what's weird about eclipses? It's like, maybe I don't really understand how they work, and that's totally fine. But like, it's the moon going in front of the sun, and it's weird. But how come like the day before the moon doesn't go in front of the sun, like just barely misses it, so maybe it just like gets a little slice of the sun,
That's a good point.
I don't really know how it works. So how come it isn't like slight eclipse, a little bit more of eclipse, full eclipse, and then like a little less of eclipse, a little bit even less, and then no eclipse,
Yeah, the moon, I guess, works pretty fast.
Okay.
Day to day.
Well, that makes sense to me then. No more explanation needed.
And that's been talking about the eclipse. Number one song on Spotify today. Any
Total
ideas?
Eclipse of the Heart. Total Eclipse of the Heart.
Correct. Yeah. You knew that. You read that somewhere.
No, that's just the only Eclipse song I know.
Okay, fine. Other song? No, I'm not gonna do it. Doesn't matter.
Okay.
Great. Well, let's just jump into it.
Okay, I'd be happy to.
So, the movie we watched today. Well, I watched today. You watched yesterday.
Yeah.
It's one of those risk movies that I do sometimes, where it's like, this seems like a good idea. We'll just see, like, either way, either it's going to be a really good movie and we're going to talk about it. It's going to be a really bad movie and we're going to talk about it. So low risk, high reward kind of film. This one's probably the most sideways film, kind of from expectation to what it actually was. Even though I had done a little bit of reading about the film, Tetsuo, the Iron Man from 1989, it was nothing like I thought it was going to be.
Right.
Was it even a movie?
It was certainly nothing like I've ever seen. Totally unique. It was a movie, sure. It was a fever dream of a movie, but it was a movie.
I watched it over breakfast. So
I did like when you told me you were going to watch it over breakfast. I'm like, that's going to be an interesting way to watch it. I watched it last night in the darkness. That was also a way to watch it.
Yeah, I don't know which way would have been better. I wouldn't have known really what was going on had I not like read the plot summary
Mm-hmm.
from the Wikipedia page, because like it no subtitles. It's a Japanese film.
You didn't have subtitles on yours?
No, you had subtitles?
Yeah.
I It was not an option, subtitles. Maybe just from where I'm watching it just doesn't give me subtitles, because
Like,
this is the second time this has happened where you're like, I've had subtitles and I didn't.
what
But
did you watch it on YouTube? There's a free one on YouTube.
I did not know that.
Yeah, that's how I watched it. Totally free, and it was like a very high quality.
I mean, mine was high quality, but
Oh, okay.
also free. But I guess no. But it doesn't matter. The subtitles I don't think would have helped. Did
Not
they
a
help you?
ton. Well, yeah. There's not a ton of dialogue. Let's put it that way. They don't say very much.
No, not a lot of dialogue.
There's a lot of noises, like a lot of noises.
The music was good. I liked the music.
Yes. I'm getting the sense from you that maybe you didn't like this movie very much.
No, I wouldn't say that I'm coming at this as in I didn't like it.
Okay.
It had its it had its pros and cons like any other movie. It's not going to be a 2 out of 10 movie.
Right.
It was just a wild interpretation of what film is.
It was a wild ride. Totally unique. I think pretty genius in my
Fever
opinion.
dream, obviously, yeah, that's a great way to describe it.
It started, I would say, definitely in the first 20 minutes. I was like, first of all, I had to turn this movie, like the volume down like 3 different times, because it's like, especially at the beginning, it's like very shrill and like loud and like distressing. And I'm like, especially like if there was somebody like in the other room listening to you watch this movie, they would probably think, they'd be annoyed, frankly. And I would say in the first 20 minutes, I was a little annoyed. But then it started really growing on me, and then I started getting it like as a whole, and then I like wasn't annoyed anymore.
I had it in my headphones, and it could be heard from, because I was sitting. I mean, this doesn't mean anything to you, but I was sitting at my dining room table, and there was a person on the couch, and she was like, "That's really loud. Like, what's going on in your headphones?" And then I'm like, "He's being penetrated," and then yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't hate the movie. I think it was a great movie.
Yes.
For the podcast.
100%. I'm very happy that I watched this movie. I'll just say,
it's great.
Before we get too much further, I'll say this movie has probably jumped into maybe like my top 10 favorite movies I've ever seen.
Amazing.
So I'm just going to lay that all out there.
Why?
Okay. Some of the main things, I think the filming style, just like all the different angles and like how confusing it was at times. I just thought like that it was just geniusly done. It left me like confused and distressed, and like I was like almost like I was experiencing reality like the character was, unlike any other film I've seen.
Okay.
And I really liked the body horror. Like I liked that kind of thing. And there was a lot of that in this movie, obviously. And just like very creative ways of having like this body horror thing go on. I don't know. And all the different types of practical effects. Like there was just so many like practical metal, things that are on all the actors, and there was a lot of like stop motion animation and a lot of spurting blood and like the rotating dick and the just like so many different things. It was crazy, but super interesting and well done, I thought.
They made a sequel and I guess a third movie too. That I don't know. It's probably they're not as good as the first one. But I'd be curious to see if they tone it down or kept it going.
Right.
Yeah. 67-minute film. Um, the the body horror aspect was probably in 67 minutes. Like it was nonstop from minute one,
Yeah.
from the maggots in the leg to the monster heading down the street, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Um, yeah, I wish I had subtitles.
Yeah, I mean, it was only an hour. You could watch it again, I guess, if you wanted to. I mean, I guess
I could, yeah.
it probably would be beneficial to know exactly what they were saying, but there wasn't. I think it's more. You're getting more out of the film based off what you're seeing than you are what you're hearing the actors saying, I guess. But it's an interesting way to watch a movie, like not knowing what the characters are saying, I suppose.
Thank you. I agree.
Yeah, totally. And yeah, like again with the sound effects, like there were some that were very very good, and like there was a couple moments where like people were cranking their neck around and it was like cracking. I thought that was an interesting sound effect, but there was like just a lot of like mouth noises and people going like and it was like disturbing, and I kind of didn't like it at first. Um, but then I think part of the reason why I came around to it a little was that it kind of eased off a little bit, especially like with the screaming. I don't know, it became a little less shrill, and then I started being like, okay, this is like really contributing to how this dude must be feeling right now, going through this like extreme bodily change.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought it just kind of added to the film as a whole, I guess.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's just like a distressing on the senses, but that's like what that dude was going through. And I just like being able to watch a movie and just see some things I've never seen in a movie before. Like that's oftentimes something we complain about in the movies that we watch. Is like, okay, like here's a trope. I've seen this a million times, and I knew how this was going to end, and like there was none of that going on here. You could not have predicted what was going to happen each minute. Like you would have no idea.
Yeah, like the drill. I thought that was a nice touch.
That was cool, and it was also like another reason. It was kind of just went back to the roots of our experience watching movies together. Like just it's kind of like the horror, but like really good horror, you know. Although we did watch a lot of bad horror, but the ones we liked the most were the ones that were like super gory, but done in a good way and over the top, you know.
What was that German one we watched?
What was that German one we watched?
It was a VHS film that it was probably the last time we watched a VHS together.
You came over to my place like on
behind Tillicum Mall.
Yeah. That was like Deadly Shit 2 or something. Or Violent Shit 2 or something like that.
Yeah. It was like that kind of film, but kind of turned up.
Yeah, and just like done better. I think a real problem with that movie that we watched was there was like too much campy sort of like, and you could tell that the budget was really low. Like the whole time I was asking myself this whole time I was watching the movie, I was like, what kind of budget did he have for this? Like it was either like a lot or like hardly anything. But like even if it was hardly anything, it felt like he did a lot with that. But like with that other movie we watched, whatever it is called, it just was really fake looking and kind of stupid, and the acting was really terrible. I mean, the acting in this one, I don't know if you would necessarily say it was like great acting, but it fit the movie, and I wasn't rolling my eyes at what was happening. It was just kind of like super over the top, but it fit, you know.
The budget for this film was between $100,000 and $130,000.
Okay.
I guess American. But the director, Tsukamoto, he wanted a higher budget because he wanted to do a lot more wacky stuff, like turn the house into metal.
Hmm.
Um, just this guy, just what goes on in his head?
Yeah, that's just like, it's crazy to me how someone even thinks of all these things.
He wanted kind of Blade Runner slash Videodrome feel,
Hmm.
kind of a mix. Videodrome. Oh, it was a podcast movie. If even if you don't remember,
Hmm.
so I get it. A little cyberpunky.
Definitely. It was very when I was looking a little bit about this film after I watched it, people were saying like, "Oh, it's a little like a David Lynch film," which I agree with in that, like, a lot of the characters in David Lynch's movies, absurd things are happening, but the characters are acting like it's a totally normal thing for that to happen. So, like, it makes me think of this guy's girlfriend as his face is like growing metal and there's metal coming out of his arm or whatever, and she's just kind of like, "Oh yeah, nothing scares me." Like, she's just like totally acting like this is something that would happen to someone. So I guess it was David
Yeah, but
Lynchian
she try
in
to
that sense.
didn't you try to
Well, yeah,
kill
like
him?
she turned. Well, once he turned on her, but like for 10 minutes before that even happens, she's just kind of like, I don't know. She's acting like she's seen this kind of thing before.
This film was based off of a play that he wrote.
Play.
Yeah, I don't know how you
That'd
would
be.
how this would go on stage, but
Yeah, I don't know how that would work.
I'm glad you liked it so much. Top 10 best film Jesse's ever watched.
Definitely. I went to work and immediately recommended it to a few people that I thought would like it. I'm curious what they're going to think. I told them, like, there's definitely a hurdle. I would say you need to get past a certain point, and then you're able to enjoy it. That's
The
not like
Sodomy, maybe?
yeah. Well, it's not like the first bit is unwatchable, but I think it becomes a different film. You start to realize what you're really watching, and it comes together.
Well, it's the shock of like, oh, this is what this film is.
Hmm.
And then you just kind of get used to it and then you just let it happen.
Yeah, something like that.
But you did mention like, oh yeah, watch the film, but then listen to the podcast first, and then
Watch
get
the.
your thoughts. Watch the film,
Uh-huh.
and then listen to the podcast. So you
Hmm.
know what we're talking about.
Right. That is what we recommend. Yes. Don't listen to the podcast first. You're going to ruin it for yourself.
Did you just like lean forward towards your microphone?
No. Why do I sound like louder now?
Yeah.
Okay. How about now?
Now you're how you have been sounding.
Okay. I guess maybe I unconsciously put the microphone closer to my mouth like this.
It's
I won't do
okay.
that again. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry.
Don't worry about it.
Okay.
No cat noises so far.
Not yet. I am in a different location.
Right, because of the whole thing you have to do later.
Well, no, it has nothing to do with that. I don't know how it worked out this evening. I'm sitting on my bed currently. Let's just put it that way.
Oh.
My clothing is on, in case you're curious about that. I have done one episode of this podcast completely naked. Can you guess which episode?
Let me pull up our episode list.
The answer may surprise you.
Your Mother Ate My Dog, the podcast, episode 89. So we're doing now. The episode might surprise you. I think it's Life of Pi.
Life of Pi. Life of Pi. Yep. We said it almost at exactly the same time. That's the one. It just felt right.
Idle Hands would have been a good one, but.
Right.
Okay. Yeah. So you wish it was longer.
No. Did I say that?
No, you like the movie. I just thought maybe you would rather it be an hour and a half instead of an hour.
No, I would say by the time you're done this movie, you're kind of like you've experienced enough of what you've seen. I think it's the right amount.
How
I
do you
mean,
feel about the film being black and white?
that probably made it better. I can imagine maybe some of the effects being lost if it was in color.
Yeah, that blood.
Yeah, and just like it's hard for me to imagine. Sorry, get down.
I jinxed it.
It's a whole new world up here. I tell you. Okay. What did you say?
Um, just about it being in color on the blood. Probably
Yes.
not a good thing.
Yeah, and like I don't know. I think it was good how it was. Yep. Yep. Man, this would have been a trip without subtitles.
Well, I figured because they talked so little. But yeah, I didn't really know what was going on for a lot of it. But I don't think the talking would have helped.
Yeah, I guess not. It's kind of like it's hard to look back, like think back to the movie and be like, what was the words they said? And it's like it's not really what I was focusing on. It's hard to remember.
Did he ever be like, "Oh, the metal hurts," and that would have helped?
Yeah, I mean, there's a few. Here's a few. Well, actually, no, there wasn't really a time where he said the metal hurts. I think he probably got that sense just by kind of looking at what he was doing and the noises he was making.
Right.
Okay, well, is there anything else you want to add?
Did this movie remind you of Run Lola Run by any chance?
I
Just like
guess perhaps like when all the parts that were like in the street. So what you mean?
like the camera work
Yes, a little bit. Now that you mention it.
in the street, I guess. I don't know. I got that sense, and I'm like, I don't know if I'm myself joking internally, and then I myself don't get the joke, or do I actually believe that?
Right. I tell you
But no, I
the
think I believe it.
I tell you the moods of my cats completely change when I sit in a different place. They are just on one right now. I almost just died. Let's put it that way.
Oh,
You know how sometimes the cats they go goblin mode? We all know cat goblin mode. Well, sometimes they go goblin
yeah.
mode and they've decided they're gonna run across you or like right over your head. It's just what happened to me. Well, my life flashed before my eyes.
Well, I would have had that on microphone, so that would have been fun. Like, Jesse, where are you? And you're like gurgling blood and stuff.
Yeah, we've been very Tetsuo-esque, if you will.
Are you going to try to watch another one of these movies?
I don't know. I might. I don't want to take away from what I mean, I know I liked the one I watched. And sometimes you watch like the sequel and it kind of ruins it for you.
Okay. Like Santa Claus 1 and Santa Claus 2?
Yeah, I watched Santa Claus 2 and I was just like to hell with Santa Claus 1. I liked it so much before.
Santa Claus, the first Santa Claus is actually like a really good movie.
Yeah. I watched that for the first time I think 2 Christmases ago. Pretty solid.
That's wild. Much like this film. Okay. Scores.
Let's get to the scores.
Let's get to the scores. I don't know how we're going to score this film.
Oh, jeez. Yeah.
But you go first for acting.
Okay. The acting definitely served the tone of the film. It was an over-the-top, crazy, wild ride. And I think that's kind of what the actors did with it. I liked it. And yeah. Let me go with an 8. It is a little hard to judge the acting on this one. 8.
Yeah. They acted pretty well when they had all that stuff on them. A lot of
Yeah.
facial expressions. I don't know what they were saying.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, sure. 8 sounds good to me too. 8 sounds great to me. Ending. Now, I don't know. Did this film really have an ending? I guess I liked them coming together and forming some sort of giant situation.
I'll fill you in before. I'll fill you in real quick. They're basically like, or the guy who got run over by the car initially. He's like, okay, now we've morphed together. Let's turn the whole world into metal. Basically, is what he said.
Yes, I got that through the plot. So
Okay.
it kind of reminds me of Power Rangers when they're like, it's morphin' time, and then they morph together. But for good. But this seems like it's for evil.
It does.
But they don't really have a choice, you know. At least because like the metal is calling the shots. Yeah, great. So normally when I do an ending score, I like to like how does the beginning kind of bring us to the end, and I can't really do that for this one.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll give the ending a 7.
Okay.
Yeah.
I would say probably the ending was maybe one of the weaker parts of the film, I guess. I mean, it wasn't bad. I mean, and I wouldn't have really seen it coming. But I suppose we've been through you go through so much through this film that maybe the ending is almost impossible to top that all off. So maybe that's where it's falling short. But I mean, I did like it, so maybe I'd go with like an 8 on the ending as well. Again, it's kind of like this is hard film to like pick those two categories and give a score. It's more of like a movie you could give a score. You could definitely give a score like out of 10. Like we're about to do, like as a whole, but maybe not pick apart things.
Okay, well then I'll start that because your score will probably be a bit better than mine because this is one of the top 10 best Jesse movies ever.
Yes.
Kind of expecting a 10 out of 10 here. I'm not going to give it a 10 out of 10. The beginning, a bit jarring, kind of all over the place. You kind of have to be in a certain mindset to fully enjoy and embrace the film.
Mm-hmm.
I was eating a muffin and getting ready for work. So maybe that's my bad. But there are many aspects that I liked. I like the camera work. I like the black and white. The kind of the jarring of the scenes,
Mm-hmm.
the acting. The story was interesting. So I'm gonna give it a 7 out of 10.
Okay. Yeah, that's fair. I do think that's like the funniest image ever. You just sitting eating a muffin watching this movie. I don't know. That's probably never been done.
Yeah, watching a giant drill penis.
Yes, indeed. Yeah, my score is definitely higher than that. Like I said, this is definitely a film you probably have to be in the right mindset. You almost certainly do. And I don't know if it would be better if you were to be like sort of warned maybe about the first 15, 20 minutes of this film that it's like, prepare yourself, it's going to be jarring, and then it gets into it. Or if you just go in how like I went in or you went in, you don't really realize that that's going to be happening. I would think maybe the beginning of this film being the way that it is perhaps what maybe takes it away from it being, like you said, maybe like a 10 out of 10, like perfect film. Like, I don't know if a film can be perfect if there is a gateway to enjoying it. I don't know. Um, but with that being said, like I think if you do get to the end, you can understand how that beginning contributes to the film as a whole. And it's just like this brilliant atmospheric, like you're just kind of like immersed with like the atmosphere created with the way that it's shot and all the angles and yeah, just everything. It's just very immersive and just like really jarring, and you feel like you're just in this guy's mind. You're experiencing him just like he is. So I think out of 10, I would get this one a 9.5.
Oh,
It's just it's unlike anything I've ever seen. I love that there was so much in it I've never experienced before. Over the top and fun. Like sometimes, I mean, I could very easily have seen this being like over the top and like just it's too gatekeepy. Like you would really have to be like a certain type of person to enjoy. But I think there was enough funness in it that it could be enjoyed by more of like a casual film enjoyer, I guess, if that makes any sense.
yeah.
So yeah, a very good fucking movie.
Well, I'm so happy that you liked it so much.
I'm so happy that you picked it. Never heard of it. I don't know if I'd ever have gotten to it on my own.
Thank you, the internet. This is the second 9.5 you've given a film
Yes.
of the 89. Do you know the other one?
Yes, the other one is definitely Lars and the Real Girl.
So by default, Lars and the Real Girl is also part of your top 10 best movies of all time?
It is. It is. And once, if people ever ask me now if like what are some of your favorite movies, I do say that movie.
Those are like the two of the most opposite films.
Definitely. Yeah.
Okay. Well, this is episode 89, which means episode 90 is next. Do you have a film for episode 90?
I do indeed. It stars one Brad Pitt. I think you know what it is based off a question I asked you, I think, last week.
Yeah. Okay. Didn't you say it was going to start with the letter T?
Yeah, it does.
Oh, I guess it does with okay. Fine. Great. Okay, yeah, that's interesting. I'm sure it's on something these days.
Yeah, it looks like you can
Yeah,
rent it on Google Play, or it also has if you have Paramount Plus. It also says Amazon Prime, but you can never trust when that tells you it's on Amazon Prime. But yes, the movie is, because we haven't said it yet, The Curious Case of Benjamin Button. Holy fuck. It's so long.
Uh-huh. Is it?
It is. I'm tempted to
Well,
change.
we had a week.
I am tempted to change it. It's 2 hours and 45 minutes.
Oh. Well, that's an adventure.
That's so long. Okay, I'll have to sort of stew on that and decide if I really want to make both you and I watch a movie that long. I mean, it's not like I'm vehemently against watching a movie that long, but that's just kind of a commitment, you know?
Yeah, well, it's an iconic film, probably. Never seen it.
Me neither. I know it was like it had a bit of a sort of got into pop culture a bit. Like I would always hear about people talking about the Benjamin Button effect. You know what I mean? Aging backwards or whatever. Whatever it is, I don't actually really know. But I think it's like aging backwards or something like that.
Romance, fantasy, 2 hours and 46 minutes. I might have to watch this in parts.
Yeah. So I think, to be fair to you, I'll probably give me like a day and I'll decide if that's really one I want to pick or if I'll pick a different one that's on my list.
It's too late. It's already written down.
No, it is not too late. It's too late to apologize. Okay. Well, boy. Here we are.
An all-time episode.
An all-timer. An all-timer. What did you give Lars and the Real Girl?
7.5.
That was almost exact scoring.
I give a lot of 7.5s apparently. The highest I've ever given a film seems to be, well, there's two films that I've given 8.75. I haven't quite got the 9 yet. 8.75, and that's Everything Everywhere All at Once and Do the Right Thing.
I was going to guess one of them was Do the Right Thing. I probably would never have guessed Everything Everywhere All at Once.
I do give a lot of 8.5s, though.
You're a stingy fella. What have you given for 8.5s? Just give me a few examples.
Peanut Butter Falcon, Old Boy, Con Air, Palm Springs. That's just from the first season of our podcast.
Mm-hmm.
I gave Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent an 8.2.
Right.
I guess I haven't really given 2023. I didn't really give many 8s. Rosemary's Baby and Barbie, and that was it.
Yeah.
And this year, 7.5 for The Wrestler and The Prestige, and that's about it.
Wow. Wow. I wonder what would happen if you took all of my scores and all of your scores and averaged them out. Whose combined score would be higher? It sounds like a lot of work to do. It sounds like a lot of work to do right now. It seems to me, but unless it's easy to do in Excel or something, I don't know.
Yeah, I'll do it and then text you.
Okay, that sounds great. Hey, did you get any interesting mail stuff going on? I know you told me there was a postcard from Portugal today. How exciting!
Any interesting mail?
Not mail, like anything interesting happening while delivering the mail.
It rained today.
It did rain. You know who I haven't seen? I haven't seen any posts from Pets by Posty in a while. Is that just dead? Is that gone?
It might come back in the summer because that's when. I mean, I do see a lot of cats just outside.
Yeah,
but it's just weird, like stopping, taking my phone out, taking a picture, taking a few different pictures, get a good angle.
That didn't stop me when I worked for Canadian Springs. I would take a picture or sometimes videos of there was like a couple dogs that were always like leashed up outside when I would deliver, and one of them was like the nicest dog ever. And I'll send you a video actually of that because I think you would enjoy that. And yeah, if I ever saw like a cat, take a picture every time.
Well, you should have made an Instagram.
I guess I should have. Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
Well, it's up to you. I mean, we could end the podcast. It's a respectable 38 minutes and 12 seconds. Or we can do a box office game, bring it back. It's been a week.
Yeah, let's do a quick box office game. Why not? We started a little earlier tonight.
It'll be really quick because it's from 1984.
Oh, good. That's a year I'm very familiar with.
July 20th, though. It's a summer film or summer.
Okay.
Yeah, they're all summer films.
Some big blockbusters, perhaps.
So I'm going to give you the name of the distributor and then how much it made over a certain amount of weeks.
Okay.
So the bottom of the list here is Columbia Pictures, and it's made $35 million over 5 weeks.
Okay.
Ralph Macchio is the first actor.
1984. So this is probably The Karate Kid.
You think it's just the first one?
I do.
And you would be correct. The second one is a Warner Brothers film. It's only made $4 million over its first weekend, starring somebody named Noah Hathaway.
That's a problem.
It's an adventure fantasy family drama. Barrett Oliver and Tammy Stronach.
What's the tagline?
The other actors. The tagline is, a boy who needs a friend finds a world that needs a hero in a land beyond imagination.
Now that sounds a little familiar. It's not animated though.
It's an adventure fantasy family drama.
Is it? No, it wouldn't be that. Maybe you can just reveal all hints.
While hiding from bullies in the school attic, a young boy discovers the extraordinary land of Fantasia through a magical book called This is the name of the film. The book tells a tale of Atreyu, a young warrior who, with the help of a luck dragon named Felkor, must save Fantasia from the destruction of the Nothing.
So is this like the never-ending story or something?
Yeah, that would fit.
I've never seen that.
But you picked it good. Another Warner Brothers film comes up next. It made $105 million over 7 weeks, starring Zach Galligan.
Oh.
It's a fantasy horror comedy. Phoebe Cates is the next one, and Hoyt Axton rounds out the top 3. Cute, clever, mischievous, intelligent, dangerous is the tagline.
Hoyt Axton. Now that's a name I sort of recognize.
That's a name when Billy Peltzer is given a strange but adorable pet named Gizmo for Christmas. He inadvertently breaks the 3 important rules of caring for a mogwai, unleashing a horde of mischievous what on a small town?
Gremlins.
Gremlins is correct. You're so good. Second last here is Paramount Pictures, $7.8 million in its first weekend. Dudley Moore, first actor. It's a comedy action film. Eddie Murphy also in it.
Okay. What's the tagline?
Unfortunately, they're both on our side.
Unfortunately, they're both on our side. I don't know much about early Eddie Murphy films.
Wiley is a lazy engineer. Landry is a sergeant specializing in armor. They have never met, but their lives become entangled when Landry must take the tank Wiley designed into combat. Wiley is waiting for his employer to go out of business when he meets another engineer who gives him a disc with the plans for a system that will save his employer. The other engineer is dead moments later, leaving Wiley with the disc and credit for the design. Suddenly, Wiley is no longer a hack, but the savior of his company, and finds his life is no longer the same.
I'm pretty certain this is going to be a movie I have never heard of.
We'll come back to that. Columbia Pictures, $130 million, 7 weeks. Bill Murray.
Ghostbusters.
Ghostbusters is correct, and the other film is called Best Defense. You're right. Never heard of Best Defense? We're in the 9th percentile. The 9th
percentile? That's horrible.
Well, we weren't alive.
There's a bunch of boomers playing this game, I guess. Oh yeah, Gremlins. That has Hoyt Axton in it, of course. Bro, who the hell is Hoyt Axton?
You should Google Hoyt Axton. American singer, songwriter, and guitarist. He died in 1999.
Okay, see, I've heard of Hoyt Axton because I've seen like his albums before. But it didn't clue into me that he would be credited on the movie. It's kind of weird. Okay, well, That was very successful, I must say.
Jeremiah was a bullfrog.
Ah, that's Hoyt Axton, is it?
Maybe.
Oh, you just said that for funsies, or?
Well, no, it said
Oh,
one of his final albums, something about Jeremiah was a bullfrog.
I see. Okay, wow. Amazing. 9th percentile. We're awesome.
Well, it was a tough weekend.
Yeah. What can you do?
Okay, well, I'm happy that Tetsuo, the Iron Man, was picked and you loved it so much. Change your life forever. I'll sleep good tonight knowing that I've done that for you.
Yeah, and now I can seem
Maybe
Oh, go ahead.
maybe Benjamin Button will be that for me.
Well, that remains to be seen. We don't know if we're going to watch that movie. But I do like having a movie now that, like, I don't know. I guess I've been accused of being hipster before. And I would say liking a movie, like if someone were like, what's your top 5 favorite movies? And one of the movies I said was Tetsuo, the Iron Man. People might be like, that's a very hipster thing to say. But I do like that I have another sort of bullet in my favorite movie gun. If that makes any sense.
It does. It makes so much sense.
Yeah. Anyway.
Okay.
It's been a can of corn. It's been a pile of peaches, a patch of pumpkins, if you will. But I think it's time to lay this one to rest.
Okay, bye.
Bye.